Nice to meet everyone. I am Backend team lead, and I do care a bit about our mobile wallet. And today I want to speak about actually what we do from the side of our mobile wallet at Orange. Just want to mention that we do have a mobile wallet. It's a native mobile wallet for iOS, for Apple devices, and for Android devices. So you can just download it if you don't have it, specifically for Android right now. We just find out that there is a small problem currently with the transactions on the network on Ethereum or any EVM chain that we do have on almost any wallet. It's basically how to sign abstract transactions specifically for users, but actually for everyone. You can see like transaction on the MetaMask here that's actually trying to sign multi-core. It's actually a swap on the Uniswap app. And it's basically very hard to understand what is happening inside. Even for me, as a developer who actually knows how Uniswap really works, I cannot actually detect or understand what is happening here. And each time I'm trying to swap something, I always have like a small panic attack. Maybe right now this front end was hacked, and I don't know what is inside this transaction, and maybe right now I will lose all my funds from this account. It's pretty hard to understand what I'm signing for. And basically, we do have the same issue. We did have the same issue before on our wallet, and we made a small research, and almost each wallet have the same issues. Sometimes there are some solutions when you can sign some transactions for some apps when they are pretty well decoded, but in general way, it looks like this. And basically, we found a solution for that. We built our app. We built our library. It calls Transaction Decoder. It's kind of universal decoder that trying to understand what is happening inside each transaction that we are signing on our mobile wallet. We do have API for that, so it can be integrated to any app. And there are a lot of use cases for it. And right now, I just want to talk about how we made it and what are some additional features of this library. So this screen is like what we have right now and what we achieved to do with our mobile wallets on Android right now. So basically, any swap that you have, for most of the apps that are available on the DeFi space, you will have pretty beautiful decoded transactions, and you will understand everything that is happening inside. Like, for example, it will be like multi-call or the Moses chain signing for something. You can understand what you're signing inside, like all the swaps, all the proofs, all the apps inside. We are showing all of that. So the main features and the main pain that we need to solve right now with this library was, first, it must be universal. That means that we need to support any chain, we need to support any protocol that is pretty popular right now. Also, we do need to estimate transaction. Like currently, there are some libraries. For example, there is a consensus library it's basically called AB decoder that allows you to see the function and the contract arguments of the function that you are signing for, but it's not enough for the user. We want to understand what will happen after you sign this transaction. What will be the estimate of your swap, for example, for Curve or for 1inch or for Uniswap, doesn't matter what DEX you are using. And it's not enough to have only ABI for the contract to understand what is happening inside. You basically need much more understanding what is happening with this protocol. And that means actually that you need to maintain and manually check each protocol that you are using. And we did all of that. Basically, we do also have multi-chain support. We support our library on all EVM chains that our wallet supports. Currently, it's about 10 EVM chains. It's not significantly hard for us to add any other. And most pain that we have with our library was mainly, firstly, RPC calls for rendering, because each time you need to render a specific transaction and to estimate it. Sometimes it's different RPC calls. Even sometimes you need to use traces, transaction traces, and just check the states after the transaction will be applied to the specific chain. So you can extract some additional information to understand what will be happening. For example, we did it for Uniswap LP pools. It's very hard to understand what will happen after you will deposit or withdraw something from it. Also, we do have multiple types of decoding. What does it mean? Sometimes when you are signing something with your wallet, you don't have internet access.
What I mean of types of multiple levels of detection, base of detection. I mean that actually we do care not only about contract API of each contract that we are decoding. We do care about contract addresses. We do care about deployer of this contract. So we know what is this contract and the story of it and how legitimate it is for your transaction. It helps us to understand that somebody can actually somehow hack, for example, some front end, and we can alert our users that actually you are signing some weird contract linked to this domain, for example, to Uniswap domain. And of course, we do have a lot of IB helpers. Basically, we're trying to decode almost each transaction on the chain that somehow is possible to decode using API or just estimate or anyhow to understand what is inside this transaction, even if you don't sure or don't have API. We do also have our internal database with all the contract tags. It's kind of the same as EtherScan have. The main idea is that we just want to tag all the contracts, all the creators, to have some reputation system inside, and to ensure that like you're signing something more like valuable, more better, more with high reputation than something that is really scam. There are a lot of use cases actually for our library. We just find out that it's not only for decoding transactions for users when we're signing it. It can be usable for a lot of other services and that we're actually building inside our wallet. We start to use our transaction decoder using parsing transaction traces. Basically, we did it for indexing all the transactions inside each blockchain to understand what is happening inside. It's pretty useful for building analytic products like charts, like transaction history, what we are building right now. Also for indexing all your ERC20 and NFT tokens on your wallet, doesn't matter on chain. And also, actually, we are building transactions charts right now. We already have some versions inside, and that helps us. This library helps us to make it chain agnostic. We do have a small demo right now. It's available via our website. It's kind of way how you can decode any transaction. You can fill it with mint transactions or with raw data. You can just visit our website. Actually, it's just demo. Currently, it's not available via API, but if you're interested, actually, in this API, it will be available soon, I think, for the public use case. And you can always try it out on our mobile wallet as a user, currently. So, after we actually finished with developing this library, we were thinking about how we can make it better. What are the main issues that you have with signing transactions than only understanding what is inside? And I think that currently there is a lot of pain with compliance, with the legal, and it will be even more painful in the future. Specifically for users who don't understand anything and just want to be legal, just want to be compliant. The main pain that you can have right now, let's imagine you are trying to communicate with someone just like making some dumb stuff with NFT, or doing something random with OTC, like doing OTC exchange, for example, somewhere. And basically, you don't know anything about this process sometimes. And once you can, for example, let's imagine that we are American. And once you made OTC somewhere in Turkey, for example, and actually you can communicate with some guys in the fake list and never understand it. And later be in jail like for 20 years. And how to make it a bit easier not to go to jail for some users, how to make it more compliant for users to prevent such cases when you don't want to communicate with anything. Basically, we want to have like kind of system that will try to track user addresses and try to say which addresses are not okay to communicate, build a kind of user address reputation system on it. And the main idea that we want to prevent any transactions to SDN list for people who don't want to communicate with the SDN list, for example, protect users from fraud, from scam. For example, if you don't want to communicate with some scammers, it will be easier to track it using just checking the addresses of these users. And all of that is actually be very automated if you just put it inside of our transaction decoder library. It's not released yet, and it will be soon available on OneInch Wallet. You could actually try our library using download our OneInch Wallet on Android or iOS. And basically that's it. I will be happy to answer any questions. And yeah, thank you.